Our next limited release that's coming out of Old Raleigh is called Olde Stogie, and it is a bourbon that we've been working on a cask finish for well over a year. And the project itself was designed to be paired with a cigar. And so we selected Armagnac and Tawny port barrels because the rich sweetness of those fortified wines, the dried fruit characteristic of those fortified wines that we brought in pair really well with tobacco.
My name is Jeffrey Amendola. I am the owner and co-founder of Amendola Family Cigar Company. The company was originally established actually in Durham, North Carolina. And what we do now is make handmade premium cigars in the US, Nicaragua, and Dominican Republic. So about 10 years ago, I learned the craft, old school craft, of hand rolling cigars. I really wanted to get my hands on being able to make my own cigar and really understand tobacco. So I'm truly honored for this opportunity today. I was approached by Old Raleigh Distillery to be a part of their release for the cigar blend whiskey. Immediately when I heard this, my creative juices started flowing. It actually was perfect timing because in the past, I was already experimenting with aging and fermenting tobacco with whiskey. We would pick certain whiskeys that had higher barrel proof. When the tobacco takes on these aromas and these smells in the fermentation, it complements the cigar even more. So I got to take a barrel home, actually, that was just emptied out in the warehouse to be bottled for the event. And that barrel is actually going to be aging and hosting the tobacco leaves on the cigar that you'll be smoking. It is a little unique because it is going to be a barber pole. And we call it a barber pole because it is going to be wrapped with two different wrapper leaves. Ecuador, Connecticut, which is more of a milder, lighter, earthy, creamy flavor profile, and also a Maduro. And the Maduro has more of that spice, even some sweet notes, which the balance of both will pair really well with the whiskey when it's done.
The casks that we brought in were imported from Europe, brought them in last February, so February of 2022, and it created a blend over the course of that month, and then a blend of bourbon that we put into those casks, and we let them rest for well over a year. And so the interesting part about cask finish whiskey is that sometimes it just takes time, and the more time that you give it, the more depth and complexity that the fortified wine, that Armagnac and that Tawny port imparts onto the bourbon. And boy, it really showed itself come fall and winter, rolling into 2023.
As a cigar roller, we're smoking a lot of different tobacco. We're tasting notes. We're getting different flavor profiles off these notes. And the great thing about whiskey is that you'll get some vanilla, spice, caramel notes, the same as when you make a cigar. As we taste the cigar, drink the whiskey, some of that tobacco naturally has a sweet, spicy, or more of a mellow flavor profile. And that's what makes that pairing so awesome.
This is an annual release. We're only dropping this once a year. And the reason we're doing that is because we've noticed that the extra time, over a year, that we give the cask to impart itself onto the bourbon makes an exceptional difference. There's very few whiskeys in the world that were created specifically to pair with cigars. And there's very few whiskeys in the world that have taken the extra care and time that we have to ensure that the bourbon rests in those casks, and we're pulling the optimum amount of character out of those casks to complement the bourbon before it's bottled.
These cigars that are being made are nowhere on the market. What you're going to experience with this project is a cigar that you have to be here to get. And after that, it will not exist anymore, or if it ever did come back to life, it would be different.
The Old Raleigh team is looking forward to sharing this bourbon with the world. We're looking forward to sharing a cigar with each and every one of you, and we're looking forward to the event.